At the American Cornerstone Institute Founders Dinner, former U.S. President Donald Trump reignited his trademark tough stance on Venezuela and international drug cartels, using the platform to portray his leadership as the only force capable of restoring American security and order. Addressing a crowd of conservative allies, policymakers, and supporters, Trump delivered a fiery speech centered on the fight against what he called Venezuelan narco-terrorists, asserting that U.S. forces are blowing them the hell out of the water. His language was blunt and unapologetic, clearly aimed at conveying strength and decisiveness to his political base. Trump tied his comments to a larger narrative about drug trafficking, fentanyl, and the growing number of overdose deaths across the United States. He accused Venezuelan smugglers of sending boatloads of narcotics northward and argued that these operations are responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans each year. By linking Venezuela to the fentanyl crisis, Trump expanded his long-standing message that border security is inseparable from national survival. His framing of the issue went beyond policing. It was a declaration of war against transnational crime, when he claimed his administration had begun but his successors failed to continue. He further vowed that under his leadership, the U.S. military and intelligence community would be empowered to strike back at the source. Trump said the U.S. would target cartel supply lines, destroy drug-laden vessels at sea, and apply economic and diplomatic pressure on governments harboring traffickers. He repeated his previous call to designate major Latin American cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, arguing that doing so would open new legal avenues for military and financial action. Trump's speech also placed Venezuela at the heart of a broader web of international crime. He alleged connections between Venezuelan traffickers, Mexican cartels, and Chinese chemical producers that supply the precursor materials used in fentanyl production. By framing these networks as part of an international assault on the American people, Trump attempted to shift the fentanyl crisis from a domestic health issue to a geopolitical battlefield. The tone of the speech was both militant and patriotic. Trump repeatedly used terms like war, battle, and mission, describing his anti-cartel agenda as essential to protecting American families. "Every ounce of poison that enters our country has foreign fingerprints on it," he said to strong applause. "And when I'm back, we'll hunt them down wherever they are." Political observers interpreted the remarks as a strategic preview of Trump's future policy direction and campaign messaging. His emphasis on forceful action abroad, paired with domestic themes of law and order, is a formula that helped him mobilize voters during his presidency. By reviving his hardline rhetoric on Venezuela, Trump not only reinforced Donald Trump's renewed rhetoric on Venezuela and narcotics trafficking reflects a calculated political and strategic move, one that reactivates the core themes that energized his previous campaigns: strength, nationalism, and a warlike posture against perceived foreign threats. His remarks at the American Cornerstone Institute Founders Dinner were not merely an expression of policy views but a deliberate effort to reframe the ongoing fentanyl and border crises as a form of external warfare, an invasion by transnational cartels and foreign regimes that the U.S. must confront with military precision. By branding Venezuelan traffickers as narco-terrorists, Trump blurred the lines between criminal organizations and armed insurgent groups, effectively arguing for the militarization of anti-drug policy. The phrase "blowing them the hell out of the water" was not only a rhetorical flourish, it symbolized Trump's broader worldview, that America's enemies are best handled through overwhelming force, not diplomacy. This narrative reinforces his image as a commander-in-chief who prioritizes action over negotiation, strength over subtlety. Trump's decision to single out Venezuela is also politically significant. The South American nation has long been a target of U.S. sanctions, but under Trump's leadership, it became the centerpiece of an aggressive maximum pressure campaign designed to isolate Nicolas Maduro's socialist government. By tying Venezuela directly to America's fentanyl epidemic, Trump extends that narrative into the domestic sphere, transforming a distant geopolitical conflict into an urgent public health and national security issue. This connection allows him to argue that foreign regimes, not just domestic failings, bear responsibility for the suffering of American families. From a political standpoint, Trump's remarks serve several functions. They re-establish his credentials as a law and order candidate, strengthen his appeal to voters who feel endangered by crime and drugs, and frame his potential return to power as a restoration of safety and sovereignty. By linking narcotics, border control, and terrorism under one banner, he simplifies complex issues into a single, emotionally charged message: America is under attack, and only strong leadership can defend it. Critics, however, argue that such rhetoric risks oversimplifying the problem and alienating regional partners. Declaring cartels or Venezuelan actors as terrorist organizations could complicate U.S. relations with Latin American governments, hinder intelligence cooperation, and lead to unintended military escalation. Some analysts also warn that conflating narcotics enforcement with counterterrorism could militarize law enforcement, undermine human rights, and further destabilize the region. Nonetheless, Trump's speech succeeded in reframing the debate. Rather than treating drug abuse and trafficking as law enforcement or public health challenges, he recast them as a test of